Hey guys, welcome back to another Best of 2022. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and we're going to talk about my top 10 limited series. Remember, I'm a blind film critic, so I watch these things with audio description, so maybe or maybe not there will be any, there may, if it didn't have audio description, it might have been a little bit harder for me to follow, and maybe it did make the list. Um, yeah, so certain shows like George and Tammy I found really hard to follow, so it just didn't end up on any of my lists. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good series, it just means the world, you know, is not set up for blind people. So that's why I'm here to talk about what is set up for blind people, what I was able to enjoy, and these are my 10 favorite limited series of the year. There were more than 10 that were great, and there were some shows that had actors and ensembles that made my top 10 list that didn't make the final cut for the series. So, anyway, without further ado, my top 10 list includes at number 10, Joe vs. Carol, which is on Peacock with audio description. Um, I've talked about this a lot because I did include a couple of the actors in my lists, and I was surprised by just how honest this show attempted to be, and how it really, truly gave the story a fair chance and let you make up your own mind. Even though we all watched Tiger King and likely made up our own minds already, but this show tried really hard to let us do that. And that's what I liked about it. Coming up, number 9, Inventing Anna on Netflix. This also has audio description. I thought it was a really good series. I didn't know anything about Anna Sorensen or Sorkin or whatever. I didn't know anything about her. Anna Delvey, Anna, whatever. Is she an heiress? Is she not? The whole thing. Just the identity, the tearing apart of her case. It felt really good, and the perspective that we stayed with Anna Chomsky's Chomsky. Oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to say her name at this hour in the morning. Anyway, yeah, the perspective coming from her character instead of Julia Garner's character, I think was a smart move, because the other character wasn't necessarily relatable, but the other one was. So we got to see one through the other's eyes, and that was the right call. So this ended up being number 9 on my list. Number 8 on my list. This was the winner of Best Actor, The Patient, which is one of those confounded FX on Hulu things, so it sort of has audio description, at least when I watched it, which it's been a while, so it's possible Hulu, they go back and they put audio description on things. Like, I'd watched the entire season of Reservation Dogs without audio description, and then somebody was like, oh, it has audio description now, and it was like right before season 2 premiered, and I was like, okay, thanks, that's helpful. I guess we're gonna wait a year every time for audio description for Reservation Dogs. Thanks, Hulu. So some of the episodes had audio description, which was enough for me to get a check-in, but it also made it kind of hard to understand other episodes. So this was as best as I could do for The Patient. However, I could totally feel every word spoken by Steve Carell. It was an incredible performance. And it's 8 on my list. Not for everybody, but I think people who see this will get something out of it. Coming up, number 7 on my list is 5 Days at Memorial, which is on Apple Plus with audio description. This was a show I was angry. It gave me general emotions. I remember watching the first episode and thinking to myself, who are these people daring to investigate these doctors? I mean, it was such a systematic failure. And the show does explain a lot of how there was a lot of systematic failure and a lot of left behind. And there were moments throughout the series where like people made choices and they kept coming for like Vera Farmiga's character. And they were like, she didn't have the right to. And I'm like, there was this guy that just showed up and straight up told them, you know, wrap certain colors around certain patients that can or can't be saved. Uh, you know, and that was supposedly some government official. We never followed up on that storyline. And then G.I. Joe comes back and he's like, I'm going to drag every person out of here myself by 5 p.m. And he didn't do that. Like, there were plenty of people left behind after his brave statement about, like, I personally will make sure every person is out of this building. And I was like, did that guy ever get investigated? Did we ever find out who that guy was? Because technically that guy failed at what he said he was going to do. If he had done what he said he was going to do, there wouldn't have been anybody still left in the hospital to die. So, unfortunately, the show doesn't prosecute people like that. So, yeah, the fact that I had all these thoughts and was thinking about all these characters, and I was like, where the fuck are these other people at? It really just... I love things that are thought-provoking, you know, that really kind of push my emotions in a certain way. And 5 Days of Memorial did that. So I didn't think it would. I didn't really know what I was in store for, but really good storytelling and a great cast. Ensemble cast. I didn't give it a single actor nomination because I just feel like everybody was on point equally. I don't think one person stood out above the rest. Number 6 on my list is The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray, which is the Samuel L. Jackson fronted Apple Plus series, which has audio description. And this was a trip. I did not know where I was going with this, did not know what was going to happen. I think the first episode I remember being kind of jarring, just the experience and not necessarily knowing what this was going to be like. And then lo and behold, it really turned out to be this great, rewarding experience with a tremendous performance from Sam Jackson and also Dominique Fishback. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's worth your time. Coming up at number 5 on my list is The Undeclared War, which is on Peacock, which also has audio description. This is a nice, terrifying little series about what really could happen without boots ever hitting the ground, without a tank ever rolling over. It's interesting that that's not what's happening in Ukraine, but it showed what the possibility of being able to shut things down and turn the public tide and use social media and everything like that, just by using technology. You know, the way that we've now set everything up, we're so dependent upon it. It was kind of freaky, kind of scary, and really well done from a team of people that I didn't expect to like, because I didn't know them, and I had no expectations going into this show. It's funny because like I was really excited for Matthew Fox's The Last Light, and that did nothing for me. And then I got into this, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So, yes, watch The Undeclared War. So what else is above it? Well, at number 4, I've got From Scratch from Netflix, which has audio description. Definitely the most emotionally that I've been hit this year. Actually, probably in a couple of years by a TV series, if I'm being honest. I made the mistake of watching one of the episodes while I was exercising, and I was like trying to like not cry, but I was also in the middle of exercising, and I'm just like listening to it over my headphones, and I'm like, this is really sad right now. Like and I'm like, we're exercising. Luckily I was at home and not like in a gym where it's just like, but it's hard because it like changes the way you breathe and everything. So I just kind of had to disassociate myself from the series so I can get through my exercise. But man, that was hard. I was listening to what was going on. I was just like, oh my god, Oh my god, this series is wrecking my life. Not a happy series. But some people love a good cry. And if you love a good cry, if you're looking for it, if you want to know whether or not you can cry, like if you feel like you have some sort of disorder that prevents you from being able to connect to anything personally, man, if From Scratch doesn't make you cry, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the series is literally, it's the most emotionally manipulative thing, and I feel like other critics turn their nose up at things like this because they're emotionally manipulative. I will totally, I'm going to own that. It is very emotionally manipulative. Emotionally manipulative. But that doesn't mean it's bad, and that doesn't mean we should hold it against it. You can be both and be good. Number 3 on my list is the only one that doesn't have audio description. That's Gaslit, which is on Stars. I don't know. I just, I don't know how old I look to you, but I was not around for Watergate. So I do find things like this to be somewhat interesting when done right. Because they're sort of a glance at a period of time in history for me, instead of being just like, oh, I was there for that, or like From Scratch feels like it's happening right now. But no, this introduced me to real life characters and from a different perspective, and it wasn't a series that really went after Nixon either. Like, for people who are like, oh, it's so easy to just make a series about Nixon and just keep, or Deep Throat, or it kind of talked about other players and went at it from a different aspect, and it focused a lot on Martha Mitchell, which gave Julia Roberts a great platform. The funny thing was, it had great performances too from other supporting cast members. I had 2 of them in my top 10 for supporting. I had both Dan Stevens and Shea Whigham listed in my top 10 supporting actors. Sean Penn did miss out on my top 10 actors, but it didn't mean his performance wasn't great. He was just a tough cut for me. It was a tough top 10. So if you're willing to sit through a series without audio description, if that's the life you lead, Gaslit seemed to be one of the few things that was actually rewarding to do so. I'm not going to say that I understood absolutely everything that was in the series, but there was enough of it, and there's enough dialogue back and forth, and of explaining what's going on, that I was able to follow it. Plus, it's Watergate, and you have, if you're American, you have kind of at least a basic knowledge of Watergate, I think. If you're older than me, then you definitely have a basic knowledge of Watergate. So it's just remembering history. So it was a good series. And then I had the Sophie's Choice. I'm gonna be honest and say 3 through 10 was just me structuring and building a list, but 1 and 2 is like flipping a coin. These are two that are like I love, and ironically they're both from Apple Plus, so you're getting great out of your subscription if you have Apple Plus. But at the end of the day, I went with number 2. My runner-up is Shining Girls. It's a series that I loved. I don't think that many people saw it. I think more people should see it. I think it's incredible. I think Elizabeth Moss was incredible in this. I wasn't ready for that to be Jamie Bell. I don't always look up the cast before I watch something. Sometimes I get into it and then I look at the cast and I'm like, who plays that role? And I look it up on IMDb and it's like, Jamie Bell? Billy Elliot? What's going on here? What are you doing? Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. But Elizabeth Moss did some fantastic work here. She's great at playing a woman who just will not give up and pushes back and fights against the system and fights against her attackers. And I don't know if she's just going to be known as that for the rest of her life, but she does it really well. And she does it really well here. And I love Shining Girls. I thought it was a great series, and it's got kind of a little bit of a sci-fi element to it. And it told a great story, and I was fully captivated. and I felt like I wanted to watch the next episode every time. This is one of those series that really made me understand binge watching. I'm somebody who likes to wait and likes to, because we're not going to get another one, so I can either blow it all at once or I can space it. I know more and more people who are spacing their films now that they can pause them on streaming services and come back to them later. They're treating films like longer films, like they're streaming, like they're, episodic. I had a friend who watched All Quiet on the Western Front in like 3 sittings. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you could. We apparently can't enjoy things long form anymore, but then you hear about people who binge watch an entire series in one day, and so I don't understand. It's like, so you can watch 8 episodes of something in one day, but you have to break up your movies? Anyway, but Shining Girls is the series you probably didn't know about, and you should. So what's number 1? Well, Blackbird singing in the dead of night. My number 1 choice is Blackbird. The Apple Plus show that has gotten Paul Walter Hauser a lot of attention recently, and rightly so. If he does not get an Emmy nomination, the Emmys aren't worth anything. It's just the truth. I mean, it's just, you can't watch the show and then not nominate Paul Walter. He should already be nominated. Like, they should just announce preemptively and be like, we'll come back and we'll get the other 4, but we've already nominated Paul Walter Hauser for the upcoming Emmys for supporting actor in a limited series. It's crazy. He's so good, and the series is so good. Taron Egerton deserves a nomination too. I hope he gets it. And I was moved. You watch the first episode, and you don't think you're going to be as impacted, And also props to like Greg Kinnear and Ray Liotta in this. I know I talk a lot about Taron and Paul, but Ray Liotta does a great job as the father trying to get his son what he needs, trying to be as big of a help as possible. And Greg Kinnear is as the cop that's trying to investigate and get all the clues together and deal with, other police departments that just are not willing to do their job. It's everything that comes together. Blackbird, and it moves quickly. I think it's 6 episodes. So it's a short little run for you to be able to do in terms of a limited series. And it's so compelling and so good. And there's so many moments in here that are haunting. Just truly haunting. And Taron Egerton has never been better. I think it's the best performance of his career. I'll stand by that. And definitely Paul Walter Hauser's career. But he doesn't have necessarily the depth of performances. This is just me like saying that he was better in this than he was in, I don't know, Cobra Kai or that Clint Eastwood film where he played the Atlanta bomber. Well, the guy that was, I shouldn't say the Atlanta bomber because he wasn't. The guy that was suspected of being the Atlanta bomber. And how that whole thing laid out. But yes, please watch Blackbird. It's a great show. Those are my top 10. Tomorrow, I'm getting really close to actually being done with these. I've got 3 more left. I've got actress in a drama, actor in a drama, and best drama series. So, tomorrow will be actress. And then I'm going to finish off my movie categories. I will see you then. Thanks for subscribing. And if you are not a subscriber, please click subscribe. And I will see you on the other side.